Hey there, Fai Cheng here with a quick overview over the different terms that are being used when it comes to online marketing. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a short list of different terms and then the practical application in real life, so real life examples. So the first one is advertising. You have probably done advertising in the past. In the past it used to be newspapers, yellow pages, these kind of things, and these days it's gone online. Let me just show you a couple of examples. Here, for example, on Facebook, you see ads. You see sponsored ads over here, or you see sponsored posts. Here we go. Scott Alford is sponsoring this post. That is basically the terminology for saying this is an ad. And then you can click on here, and when you do, Facebook gets paid. The other thing that's typically used by business owners, local business owners, online entrepreneurs is Google. And there, when you, for example, here search for landscape gardener Dublin, you see these ads at the very, very top. Ad, ad, ad. So this is kind of the equivalent to Facebook's advertising. We can go into details later on in different videos what the main difference is when you would use what, but this is generally what we mean by advertising. I mean, there are other platforms, but this is the typical ones for online entrepreneurs, online business or business owners who want to do online advertising. It's the Googles of this world, it's the Facebooks. That's where we find most of our clients. Alright, the next one is then website versus landing page. Just to clarify what this is, if, for example, now I go over here and look at Andy's. Andy is a client bordering on friend by now. Have met several times at workshops, also on holidays, and he is a landscape gardener in Dublin. Alrighty. So here is his website, and as you can see over here, it's a typical website. There are pretty pictures, and then there is navigation up here. You can look at all kinds of things. The homepage, the about page, his services, his portfolio, his special offers, his latest news, his contact page, and so on and on and on. This whole collection, all these pages together, that's his website. And when we look back here, there's also that concept of the landing page. Now, I've italicized page, if that's a word, because page kind of gets confused with website, etc., etc. So this website consists of several pages. This is a page. If I go to his about page, this is a page. If I go to his latest news, that's a page, and so on and on and on. The whole thing together makes a website. Now, if I look at, for example, this ad here, or let's look at this one here. This looks quite funny, whatever it is. Straps on legs, online taping seminar, okay. It's a German thing. Well, there we go. I'm based in Germany. Let's just click on it and see what happens. So I'm now clicking on the ad and I am seeing this page. This particular page is a landing page. So the idea or the concept of the landing page is that you click on an ad somewhere and you land on a page. As you can see here, again, it's basically a website. But this website has a page on it where we landed after clicking on the ad, and therefore this thing is called a landing page. Now, a landing page typically differs from other pages on a website in the sense that the idea of this is that I got curious about this ad and I now want to know what happens next. So in this case, I'm not really interested in their about story and all these other things, but instead, I want to know everything to do with this particular thing. So the landing page that comes after an ad is typically about the thing you saw in the ad. So this is about, as they promised here, an online seminar on taping. Okay, and as a result, this page is about kinesiology taping online seminar. And I can now sign up for only €129.90. And that kind of makes sense because, well, I'm interrupting people on Facebook. They're busy looking at kitty pictures, etc., or doggy pictures, and now they were kind of curious about this taping thing, this taping seminar. So it wouldn't make sense to then talk about all kinds of other stuff. Like, for example, if we look at this here, if let's say Andy put an ad out on Google or on Facebook saying, look, we've got something great going on with gardening. It is now the beginning of the year, spring, we do a spring clean for your garden. If you then were to send people to his about page, that wouldn't make much sense, because people who clicked on the ad because they were interested in a spring clean for their garden. So the landing page should be about the spring clean of gardening. A couple of other, or maybe one more example. So if I click on an ad here, whatever. The number one landscape gardener in Dublin. Let's click on this. Now they have sent me to, it looks like, their homepage. And in a way it makes sense, because I typed in something very, very generic. It was Landscape Gardener Dublin. As a result, they're sending me to their generic homepage, which is all about landscape gardening in Dublin. But if I were to find someone who says, look, I'm doing a spring clean, or let's say, okay, let's stay in Dublin, and let's say tooth whitening Dublin. Now, there will be ads up here, okay, teeth whitening Dublin, laser teeth whitening, affordable braces in Dublin. This already you can see is kind of off topic. I have searched for teeth whitening and they're going for affordable braces. So why would I click on here? But let's say, and this is starting to show you a bit of a pattern here. In general, people have something on their minds. In this case, it was teeth whitening, and there's a consistent story going on throughout. And that's what we're aiming for, to create a journey, or help people create a journey where basically they have a question in their mind and say, I want to know about teeth whitening in Dublin. Okay, and then we give them an ad. Okay, they click on this, and hopefully this better be about teeth whitening. Okay, it's a latest special offer. It's not great, but it's not bad either. It didn't go to the home page, which was, well, let's find out if this is their home page. It turns out it is their home page, so that's all they do, apparently. They only do teeth whitening. Well, it'll be silly if this had landed on a page about braces, for example. I hope you start to see the pattern here. Anyway, the journey we create is consistent throughout. People have a question, they want a solution, and our job as business owners is to help them get to that goal. So let's go back to this here. So that's the big difference between a website and a landing page. A website consists of different pages, which some of them may be landing pages, but in general, website is that whole thing. The next one is then a call to action. And call to action is basically what you want people to do. And in future videos, I'll go into the concept behind the call to action. The call to action is not a persuasion tool. You can't force anyone to do anything. So the call to action is an encouragement and say, look, I make a promise. I have something for you. I hope you're interested. And those who are interested will then click on it. So if we go on, this thing here, let's go back to Facebook. We clicked on this ad. Now it just changed the ad to something else. So now we're looking at, let's pretend we were interested in back pain, and now we've got this thing here. So the call to action would be to do something. So in this case, it says click to watch. That is a call to action. They want me to go and click on this thing so I can go and watch this video. Another call to action would be probably to buy something. No, in this case, there isn't. I have actually seen this in the past, this ad, and they're doing a horrible job, but that's a story for another day. Trust Reach, let's go and check out these guys. What would be a good call to action on this page? Get started for $10. It's not a great call to action, but it's call to action. Go and do something. So the idea, and if I may, where's my, there we go, the gardening page. If I go to the home page, contact us is a call to action. Andy wants you to call him up. So contact us. Again, it's not a fantastic call to action, but it's a good enough call to action. So that's what people mean when they say that you have to have a call to action. It's basically you need to think up front on this journey through showing initial interest to making a decision. There will be different steps where people have to go and do something, and that's what a call to action is. A call to action, at the end of the day, we need to figure out if people actually did it. And so I can then go out and say, well, this kind of person did respond to my call to action, whereas this other person did not respond to my call to action. And that's why we have conversions. The idea is to simply measure how many people who landed on this page clicked on the Contact Us button. But it's not only how many, but also who. So for example, let's pretend now Andy had ads on Facebook. Let's pretend one of these was Andy's. Andy wants to know how many people clicked through to his website. I'll give you one example here. This is the best practice checklist for Fight. Fight is me, by Facebook. And as you can see here, my pixel fired 46,948 times in the last 28 days. Now, what does that mean? Or why is that relevant? Well, it means that 46,948 people saw my ad landed on one of my pages in the last 28 days. However, that in itself doesn't tell me how many people actually converted. And that's why, for example, Facebook down here says, well, choose the conversion objective. And that's what I'm saying over here. It's all about measuring conversions. And in order to measure conversions, i.e. to have an idea of how many people not only saw your landing page, but also then followed your call to action, you need to measure that. And that is done using a piece of software called a pixel. And you can get these pixels, and I'll show you in the future how to install these pixels. It is very, very simple, and if you don't want to do it, there are plugins, and if you don't want to do that, there are outsourcers who can do this for you. Not a problem at all. But you basically, if you've ever encountered the terminology conversions and pixels, conversion is simply the process of measuring of how many people followed my call to action, and the pixel is the technology that helps you measure how to do that, or how many people did that. Right, which brings us to the next topic, which is testing, optimizing, and analytics. So if you now go out and say, let's pretend again, where is Andy? Andy is here. Let's pretend this is Andy's page, and let's pretend he has a service designing your garden. And he puts ads out onto Facebook where he says, look, if you want your garden design, come over here and, hopefully then call me up. Andy does. I'm going to have serious words with Andy because, here we go. Okay, let's get in touch. Okay, there's his call to action. So after you've read through this whole thing, the reason I said I need to have a word with him because it should be fairly early on. There's something called above the fold. So the first thing you see should contain a call to action for those who are ready to take action. So, but he does have a call to action, so he's, I let him off the hook. What we want to do is then figure out if this particular page converts better than another page. And that is what we mean by testing and optimizing. So we want to figure out, for example, this is a perfect example now, if putting a call to action right above the fold, as in on this page, so you immediately see it. You click on the ad, you see this page, and you immediately see a call to action that says, get in touch. The question is that better for us? Do we get more people to say, yes, I'm interested, Andy, I want to talk to you about designing my garden? And that is the thing you do with testing and optimizing. And analytics then tells you, or analytics is related to this, if analytics kind of gives you the insight into how people use your site and where you could go and optimize your site. So analytics tells you where people come in, how they navigate through your page or through your site, where they spend a lot of time. You can go as deep as going, okay, they look at this logo a lot, or they spend a lot of time reading this particular text. So that gives you insights you can then use to improve your testing and optimizing. So testing is figuring out with the help of analytics and some guessing where you could optimize something, and then optimizing is the process of going out and saying, okay, tell you what, this background image is kind of distracting because the cross is going straight through the middle here. Let's move this a bit to the side and see what happens. Do people respond better? Now, in practice, you will have seen all kinds of advice on what you should test, and it's beyond the scope of this video. We'll cover that later. But in general, it's the offer. And we're not going into great detail what an offer is, but it's basically the thing people get. Because think back to the whole customer journey. People want to get to the point where they overcome an obstacle. They want to design a better garden or have it designed for them. So the the offer says, I will do this for you, or I will do this for you in 3 days, or I will do it for you in the style of one of these home improvement garden design programs on TV. Whatever gets you going, that's the offer, and that is typically the thing that is really worth testing. So, email autoresponder. When you think about the general customer journey, very few people buy on the first touch point. And as a result, we need to follow up. And this is what you see in the real world. When before the internet, you had to go out and there were multiple touch points between 7 and 20 before people make a decision. And that's what we use email autoresponders, newsletters, and Messenger for. Messenger is the equivalent of email, just for Facebook and other platforms. So the idea of an email autoresponder is nothing but to get people to say, yes, I'm interested, I would like to sign up. And sadly, I had a look earlier, I can't find anything on Andy's website, so Andy is not actively pursuing those multiple touch points, and that's a bad thing. Because, yes, I know it is hard to get people to sign up for a newsletter about gardening when it comes to designing your garden. However, if you have a newsletter that gives out helpful, useful tips on how to design, maintain, and really make your garden stand out, that is something people would sign up for. And the reason that's so important, this is a little bit of a side note, is that a lot of these things we sell, designing a garden, and my favorite is drilling holes in concrete walls. We have a local guy who has an ad in the paper all the time, every single week. I can help you drill holes in your concrete wall. And the reason for that is that you don't do this on a regular basis. I mean, you have lunch every day, or almost every day. But designing a garden is a very sort of one-off event, and then you wait another 30 years before you redesign it. And as a result, in order to keep at the front of people, or at least at the back of people's minds, so when it is time to design their garden, that's where newsletters do come in. You're being helpful, you're being at the back of their minds all the time, and then when it comes to the point where people decide to design their garden, then you are at the front of their mind because you've been helpful all this time. And the other way you use an autoresponder or email is, like I said, not in the newsletter way. This is kind of back of mind, front of mind. The email autoresponder also helps people guide in a systematic fashion through the decision points, through making up their minds about doing business with you or not. So, I'm not going to go into great detail how this works. Let's see if we see one example. Let's see if you can sign up here somewhere. No. So, sometimes you basically have a sign up form here. Let's see if we find one more ad where we can Trust Reach. I can't remember. Oh yeah, here was Trust Reach. Can we sign up here? No, I'm giving up on these, but it kind of makes sense. Although it is a conversion objective to get people to sign up, the ones we've seen so far, they want you to buy something. So it wouldn't make sense to dilute your message by saying you can buy something or sign up to my newsletter. So I'll give you a random examples. Athlean X. I happen to know this guy. He does a wonderful job of not only doing fitness, but also of marketing his business. Jeff, shut up. And as you can see here, enter your email. So if you want to fix this particular mistake he's talking about here, sorry about my download manager, then you can get the solution by entering your email. And now he's at least capturing people who are saying, "Ooh, in general, I'm interested in this thing," but they're not ready to go to these individual offers yet. It's beyond the scope of this video, but in general what you do is, let's circle back to website and web pages. This is a website, and as a result, on this generic site, this is Jeff over here, doesn't know what people want specifically. He gives them a choice, but all kinds of people land on his page. He doesn't drive traffic to it in the sense of specific ads going to this overall page, but his YouTube videos, because they're not really specific to this program or this program or this program, they all go to this landing page. And as a result, people have all kinds of different levels of interest, different problems they have, and that's why he's having a very generic landing page or home page here. And he's also having a very generic sign-up page. Alrighty, let's go back to this here. Email autoresponder and or messenger. You can these days almost swap out Messenger for email or autoresponder. You can, engage with an audience on Facebook if that's where they're hanging out. But the point of an email or autoresponder, summary here, is two things. One is to guide people through a decision-making process. So if they've expressed interest in one particular thing, so you can then guide them through that process step by step. And the reason we do that is so we can automate the common questions and focus then our energy on the specific questions that I only ask once or twice. And then the newsletter is for that back of mind, front of mind, keeping in people's minds. So when it is time to make a decision, they're ready. Another term you may have heard is a webinar or online class. Now, in the examples I've just shown you, there were no examples, so I can't show you, or I'm not going to start digging around, I'll just describe it to you. It's basically, at some point, especially when you sell high-end things, like, for example, where is Andy? I'm now, as you can see, I'm starting to open too many tabs. Teeth whitening, no. Oh, these guys, I had an online workshop. These guys have a on-demand video, so you can click on it. Trust, no, goodbye. So here is Andy. Let's say, just pretend for a second that making the decision, and it probably is, of choosing your garden designer is a very personal thing. Let's pretend none of this stuff here matters. The portfolio, I don't care. The number one decision for me is, do I like Andy? Do I trust Andy? Well, the first thing I would do is click on the About page, and then I see, where is Andy? Look, there's Andy. Now, in my opinion, that's not the greatest picture, Andy, but hey, I'm going to tell Andy, by the way. So, if trusting Andy and knowing Andy is one of the most important things, then at some point you want to go and meet Andy. Now, in general, that is possible to some extent if you have local clients, but if you then need to go out and talk to lots of clients to find the right kinds of clients, if you were to meet with everyone, that's not possible. You just don't have enough time. And that's where you have webinars or online classes come in. These are basically like little workshops where you present some information and then there's a Q&A. It doesn't have to be that format, but that's a very powerful format because people can ask you questions, they can engage with you on a one-on-one, although in a very limited way. They ask one question, you give an answer. So it has the benefits of the individual personalized sales call where you talk to the person you'd like to talk to, in this case Andy. But for the advantage for you, the business owner, is that you don't have to do this for every single person. If there are 1,000 people coming into your sales funnel, like let's say 2,000 people clicked on your ad and 500 or 1,000 of those then actually schedule a call. So if we go to Andy's page where it says, do get in touch, contact us. Let's say 1,000 people reach out. Andy wouldn't have any time to do any work. And that's why these webinars and online classes come in. They use online technology. It's fairly easy to use. You just set up with if there's no technology involved here or no real technology. You need a computer to then run this. You need a camera and a microphone, and that's it. Alrighty. The one I'm mentioning here, although it's not really worth mentioning, is search engine optimization. And the reason I say it's not worth mentioning is a lot of people out there will tell you, well, you need to have search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is nothing but, if we go to Google and say landscape gardener Dublin. So as you can see up here are some ads, and then we have these listings here. So these are not ads. And these are here because Google, in this case it's Google, has decided these are the ones that fit that term best. So you are searching for landscape gardener, and they have decided this is the one that fits that term best. Now, this is kind of useful for you as a business owner because a certain percentage of people, and it's the vast majority of people who don't click on ads, then click on the first link. It's something like the 80-20 principle. Most people click on the first link, then a smaller percentage or much smaller on the second link. And once you get to the bottom here, basically no one clicks anymore. So it is correct that you do actually want to be up here because that's free traffic. That's free visitors to your website. And who's going to argue with free visitors? The problem with this is that very few business owners make the effort to figure out, well, what terms are actually useful. For example, landscape gardener Dublin is very, very, very generic. Wouldn't it make much more sense to optimize your site, and this is where search engine optimization comes in, to optimize your site for spring clean gardens in Dublin, or whatever, whatever the thing is for landscape gardening, wall building, driveway, building, whatever it is, these things. Would it make more sense to do that? Because search engine optimization takes time and effort. You have to go out and you have to adjust your site. You have to create typically quite a bit of content. You can outsource and hire someone, but this takes time, energy, it takes strategy. You need to have a content calendar, etc., etc., etc. And as a result, experience shows that until you have proven through other means, namely typically paid ads, where people see an offer, like for example, driveway or spring cleaning of your garden, whatever it is you want to do, until you've proven to yourself that that is the right angle and those are the clients you want and they actually give you money and they are happy customers because you deliver a great service. Until you've done that, I would steer away from search engine optimization because you are only stabbing in the dark. You're guessing what might work, what might not work, and as a result, any energy you put into search engine optimization is, it's not lost, but it's kind of wasted because it's totally untargeted. So there you go. And I can say this with conviction because I used to do a lot of search engine optimization for my own sites before I discovered the fact that I really should go out and do some proper research first, and you do that through paid ads. Is there anything else? That's the big question. So I've gone on for a good 27 minutes here. Is there anything else you want to know? I have been doing this for over 10 years now, and these are the terms I see come up over and over again. Someone who's new to online marketing, they get confused by, what's the difference between a website and a web page, and should I do search engine optimization? Why, look, I am in, for example, if I go and, this is actually a terrible counterexample, but let's say gardens transformed, all right? Gardens transformed Dublin. So here is Gardens Transformed, and they show up as the very first one. And typically that's what business owners do. They go and search their own name, or their own name combined with their city, and go, yeah, but look, I am in Google. Well, you're not in Google because very few people, yes, you are in Google, but very few people actually type in this term, Garden Transformed Dublin. People who don't know you can't type in your name because, well, they don't know you yet. What they're going to do, however, is type in spring clean my garden in Dublin, or pave my driveway in Dublin. That's what the people are typing in. And that's why a lot of people get confused about these basic terms, or not basic terms, when you're new to this, they're not basic. So I hope the terms I've shown you cover more or less what you need to understand the fundamentals of online marketing. And in the next video, I'm going to show you then how to make decisions on, for example, if you wanted to do a webinar, how do you do it? Or if you wanted to choose an email autoresponder and either follow up or be at top of mind, how do you do that? How do you test and optimize? What do you need to do conversions and pixels? Call to action is a different thing. How do you build a website or a landing page? That's in another video, but here are the basic terms. So if you have anything else, leave a comment down below. Let me know what else you've heard, where you are confused, where you need an explanation of what it is. Alrighty, cheers, bye.